What's up, guys? Yeah, been a while since I've done a full length video. Now that we're kind of 2 months, 2.5 months into the new incrementality setting, having launched in Meta Ad to do a bit of a deep dive and review of the accounts that I'm testing it on and kind of see where we are in terms of the attributed revenue and conversion value, ROAS, that kind of thing. But also, can we see any impact on the bottom line? Are these features actually making a difference relative to what we would normally have set things up on before, which was the 7-day click, 1-day click, and then the 28-day click kind of reporting function. So TLDR, the incrementality setup was basically launched in early April, and is effectively Meta's way of trying to make your advertising more additive to the business, more incremental to the business, hence the name, i.e. stop advertisers from churning existing traffic sources, churning returning customers, showing great ROASes, but actually it's not actually adding much to the bottom line of the business. So this was kind of their foray into this space. So where are we 2.5 months in? Let's have a look at the accounts that I've got. I've got a couple of examples that I want to go through. So yeah, without further ado, let's take a look. Okay, so the first account I want to look at is one of my bigger clients. They turn over sort of 4 to 5 million a year, do a lot in the kind of tool space, machine space, both through D2C and B2B. And July is generally one of their toughest months anyway. They are not necessarily a summer business, and this month is usually difficult for them. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you as best I can the current situation in terms of the performance. So the setup for this particular client in terms of the incremental setting, I had to do a rebuild on this client back at the start of this month anyway. I had a very old build of mine from about 3 or 4 years ago that had done really well, but was built in quite an old way, was kind of manually funneling traffic through, had always performed pretty well on the click attribution basis, and we'd seen the business grow along with that. So there's probably some inefficiencies there for sure, but it had done its job over the last few years. So I wanted to take the opportunity to then kind of build in a fresh new way. Obviously it's got a massive amount of account data in this platform, and we spend between 7 to sort of 15k a month depending on seasonality. So this had a new campaign set up for incremental ROAS based on highest value. So again, this is automated bidding. You know, we've talked often about doing bid caps or manual bids with TROASs, things like that. What I've actually found though is that in most of my accounts now, I can't actually do incremental target ROAS bidding. So I could when it first launched, and I can't anymore. Won't let me do it. I can only do that on a standard attribution setting setup. So I've wanted to tap into the high value here because these the average order value for this client is very high. It's 3 to sort of 500-600 range. They have a lot of high value products, and that's kind of the meat and drink of their business really. So yeah, there's kind of the context for that. So it's kind of perfect fit for a high value. We're testing high value kind of optimization and delivery here, but also doing it in the context of it being incremental. So I'm just pulling up the account now so you can see that. So this is showing us 1st to the 25th of July. So I wanted to take the weekend out because we always have really poor weekends, and it kind of skews the data relative to kind of the backdating of attribution. So 1st to 25th of July, I'm also going to show this hopefully through of last year as well. So you can see here we have our max value iROAS campaign. It's not actually an iROAS campaign, it's just an incremental campaign. So this is the bulk of what we spend against for our purchase. I do actually like having the content view campaigns as well for driving colder traffic. You know, we've worked with these clients across third-party attribution tools, and we just don't drive enough net new traffic in on purely purchase campaigns for most of these businesses. It does like to cycle through a lot of its own. I know this is an incremental campaign, but we do have a mandate with this client to drive new customers as well. So it's not just about can we make revenue, there is a new customer piece of this too. So this is kind of the main one that we're looking at. So I'm just going to pull this one up. So what we're seeing here, so I've just got this flagged on standard. The standard it is set on incremental attribution. So I'm just going to pull in to 28-day because that's kind of what we use historically to see the difference on this. So let's have a look. Meta loves to do the hold non-loading. So we can see here, okay, right. So how we would have judged this before is that we would have basically reported back the 18.05 20-day click. We can see with the incremental setting that we're hitting a 12.18. Now the client's or like benchmark for this is actually a 10, so he is pretty profitable or highly profitable on average at a 10. So a 12 is very, very strong. And something that we've done with this campaign actually is we've added a lot more budget in, so it's going to be not a like for like comparison when we look at this, but it's interesting to note that we've still been able to scale our spend and do it incrementally with this setting as well. So 12.18 incremental, what does that kind of manifest itself in terms of incremental attribution? You know, that's nearly 60k worth of incremental value that it is kind of bringing. Now I just want to compare that to the previous period. Now we can't do this with the attribution season settings, so I'm going to do a 1st of June to the 25th of June because we had fairly similar spend on the old build at that point. So I just want to have a look at kind of how we're looking there. So yeah, 12.32. It's not going to be as clean as I'd like to on this one, but I'm just going to scroll through. Right, let's go back to our previous campaign. I still have this running on a little bit of budget because I don't want to move it all over. But if we do this for 1st of June to 25th of June, yeah, so as I said, not a perfect like for like measure, but what was the spend here? So we had 4k of spend on this one back in June, 4k, just over, I'd say very, very similar amount of money spent, slightly more this month with the new campaign, but definitely comparable. So we've got those two. Let's have a look at what we were seeing here. Okay, so you can see it here. So actually, not only does it look like we have had a significantly higher incremental ROAS attribution on here. So if you remember before, it was a 12.01, I believe. We're showing an 8.01 in terms of incremental attribution for that very, very similar campaign, but with the standard attribution settings here. So a significant jump for a similar amount of spend with no other factors in play. These are both sale periods. So we had a sale period with the same offer in June, and that sale period is basically continued in July with the same offer. So that's consistent. That's interesting. So we can see considerable jump. So what's that? 4 points of ROAS higher. So that's a big jump. Even on the 28 click, it was looking higher. So yeah, very, very big jump there. And what does that manifest itself in? So that's, but not only, yeah, so not only does that be jump in ROAS, but in terms of like actual realized revenue to the business, that's nearly double. So what's that? 34k versus just shy of 60k. So not quite double, but pretty strong. So that's already a big jump. Now, the other thing to note here, as I mentioned, is that we were optimizing this on highest value. So I want to just have a quick look at how many sales we are claiming, or conversions that we're claiming for this period on the old. So we had 80 purchases there, 53 incremental. So let's go back to July and have a look at the new campaign, and we can see here 97. So more purchases. So that's kind of the what we've seen in a nutshell in the kind of first 3 to 4 weeks of this campaign setup, which I think is pretty good. I mean, that's very strong, considering it's factors. In fact, in July has actually been a much more difficult e-commerce environment generally than June was. So there's that at play as well. So we've actually probably improved the performance in spite of, or disproportionately to, a tougher market. So that's encouraging for me to see for sure. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Now the second part of this is obviously that's what Meta's showing us. What does this actually mean for the bottom line of our business? So I'm just going to do so we use a tool, an e-commerce tool, which is kind of a profitability tool really, and kind of measures all of our main metrics. So I'm just kind of going to go through, I've just basically highlighted a couple, really focus on. So the main part of all of this is new customer acquisition piece. This is a good business with Klaviyo, has a phenomenally good service record and customer service record with its clients. Its clients love it. It has built a bit of a community behind that as well. So this is not a business that needs a huge amount of returning customer marketing other than what it can do in-house or via non-paid channels like Klaviyo. It does a lot of repeat business on PO and all that kind of thing. So we're not overly concerned with driving returning customer revenue. Of course, it's nice if we do drive incremental returning customer revenue, and obviously a big part of the incremental value piece, or the incrementality value piece of Meta, is that now it doesn't really matter necessarily where the revenue is coming from, new or existing. It's just whether or not it wouldn't have occurred without your marketing being part of it. But that's, again, one of our mandates is new customer acquisition, so we're kind of looking at it through that lens as well. So let's have a look. I've done previous year here, but let's look at previous period and see what we can uncover. and that previous period is the same period in June. So interestingly, our setup in Meta is still around new customer acquisition. So I still have the, so this was built back when you could do the ASCs for new customers and then have your exclusion. Sorry, it was the newer setup for new versus existing customer setups at account level. So it's geared towards new customers as best it can. I have all of the returning customers as exclusions at account level, as well as also at the campaign level with this. So it is trying to do, as much as it's incremental, it still has the usual kind of structure in place around new and existing customers. Not that they always work, of course, but they are there. So we would hope that this would still be doing majority new customer acquisition. It's very, very broad targeting. Got a lot of creative now, so that's kind of how we do it. Let's take a look at these. So what can we see? Now on the business, for 1st of July to 25th of July versus the 1st of June to 25th of June, we have seen orders are flat. So that's interesting to know. And I don't really expect that to be any different, because our marketing spend is pretty much the same month on month. The offer is the same month on month. Nothing's really changed. So no internal factors have changed. So flat on orders. Now, interestingly, our AOV has improved slightly. So that's good, 2% uplift. Now, our new customers has improved quite considerably, which is good. Part of this rebuild for this new campaign was to try and maximize its efficiency around new customers as much as it was incrementality. So that's really, really good to see. We've had more new customers coming in. Interestingly, we've had a lot more new customer sales as well. So as we would expect, but it's disproportionate to the volume of new customers. So slightly newer, slightly lower new customer AOV. As you can see, our graph is not loaded here. So what we're actually seeing here is potentially lower value customers coming in. So it may be that the high value or highest value customer piece for Meta is potentially not doing as much as we would hope it would be doing for this. Now, of course, loads of other factors, and this is looking at the global business performance, so lots of other things will be in play here. But interesting that we've seen a big jump in new customers, which is one of our, primary goals. Great. We know we've driven much higher incremental ROAS. It's also great that we're seeing higher volume of new customer sales as well. So we've kind of got it best of both worlds here. I would have liked to have seen some higher value individual sales, so a higher AOV for new customers, but it's only 9% down. And that's certainly overshadowed by the fact that we've got 26% growth in new customers and 19% growth in new customer sales. And at that value, that's pretty significant. We can see here a very clear impact of doing incremental attribution settings and attribution bid optimizations, and we can see that on the bottom line of the business as well. So we've kind of got best of both worlds. We're seeing it in Meta, fantastic, better than what it was, but we can also see the bottom line of the business also showing higher value in new customer sales, higher volume of new customers as well. So in theory, that incrementality is being seen in the bottom line of the business, which I'm really, really happy about. So that's a real positive for this. So that shows that actually probably it is working, and it's working in the desired outcome. We're never going to be able to track this perfectly. We don't have the means of tracking this perfectly as this business, but that's my input in Meta. This is how I set things up. This is what I want to get out of it. And I'm seeing that in the back end of the website as well, CMS. So it's always good to sense check that against the real data effectively. So you have it, a couple of accounts there where we've actually used this feature and we've seen some impact on it. It's not as obvious in some than it has been in others. And of course, there are other factors that come into play there, but early signs are that this feature is decent. I'm quite pleased with how I can make it work. I kind of feel like I've got a bit of a grasp on the value that I can get from it, certainly, but it remains to be seen, obviously, over a longer period of time, like how impactful this really becomes and how much further we can kind of take this. So yeah, if you've liked what you've seen and you want more of this kind of content, and we can go through more use cases and case studies with live client examples of the new stuff rolling out across platforms, make sure to subscribe, follow, keep watching, and we'll do some more of these as we get to them. Got one coming up hopefully next week on the new AI Search Max feature on Google Ads. Got a couple of experiments and a couple of clients running that, and yeah, we've got some kind of mixed results and things that we can look at there. So yeah, stay tuned, and yeah, have a good one.